Hare Krishna. I welcome all to our Bhagavad Gita class. We are on chapter 13. The objective of this class is to enable reading of the shlok, to understand the meaning of the shlok, and to help understand the basic philosophy of Gita. We are on chapter 13, nature, the enjoyer, and consciousness. Yeah. This chapter is divided into 6 sections, starting with Arjun's 6 questions, and then Krishna describing Kshetra, Kshetragya, and Gyan, and then Gyan, the process of acquiring knowledge. Then what is Jnanam, the object of knowledge, Prakriti, Purusha, and their union. We have already covered till here. And today we will be going into the last section of this chapter, which is Jnana Chakshu, the vision of knowledge, and we'll followed by the glories of chapter 13 from Pad Puran. So summary of the chapter 13 till now, what we have done. So the chapter starts with Arjun's 6th question. And let us see what the 6 questions are. Arjun asks Krishna that what is Prakriti? Prakriti is material nature. What is Prakriti? Material nature. What is Purusha? The enjoyer. What is Kshetra? The field. What is Kshetragya? The knower of the field. Who is the knower of the field? What is Gyan? What is knowledge? And what is Gayam? What is the object of knowledge? So these are the 6 questions that Arjun asked to Krishna. Now Krishna explains that about Kshetra, Kshetragya, and Gyan in the first 7 shloks. He says Kshetra is this body. Kshetra is this body, the field of activity. And why does he say that this is Kshetra? Why does he compare our body to the field of activity? As we know, in the field, what happens? Whatever we sow, so we reap. Similarly, by this body, whatever activity that we'll do, accordingly we'll get the karma. So each activity has a equal and opposite reaction that gets stored in the bank of karma. That's why this body is called the field of activity, because only through this body we do the activity, right? Then what is Kshetragya? Gya is normally Gya means Gyan. So whoever knows this body is the Kshetragya. And who is the one who knows this body? So one is the soul, knows about this body, and second thing is the super soul which lives inside this body. So these are the 2 knowers of the body. And then Krishna explains what is Gyan. What is Gyan? What is knowledge? Knowledge is about to know about this body, about the soul and the super soul. When you know what these are and what are the relationships between body and soul, soul and super soul, when you understand these relationships, that is called Gyan. Not only understanding the relationship, but realizing that relationship and living like that is called Gyan. As we all know, in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 13 to 18, this is basically the Jnana Yoga, where Krishna explains more on the Jnana Yoga, right? And then Krishna explains about this body. So he says, so what is material nature? What is Prakriti? Prakriti is material nature. And then what is Kshetra? Kshetra is the body. What is Kshetra? Kshetra is the body. So now Krishna goes to the next step and says what this body is made up of. This body is made up of 24 elements. Every body is made up of, all the human bodies are made up of 24 elements. And what are those 24 elements? It is the first 5 great elements, which is the Mahabhuta. What is that? Earth, water, fire, air, and ether. And then the 5 knowledge acquiring senses, from where we get knowledge, which is our eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and skin. These are the knowledge, Jnana Indriya. Jnana Indriya means from which we acquire knowledge, which we learn something, right? That is the Gyan knowledge. Then it says 5 working senses, which basically through which we do the activity. What are those? The voice, the legs, the hands, the anus, and genital. That is the basically Karmendriya. And then the 5 sense objects. What are the 5 sense objects? Sound. The ears hear the sound. The tongue enjoys the taste. The nose takes the smell. And the eyes understands the form. And skin does the touch. So these are the 5 sense objects. And apart from that it is mind, intelligence, false ego, and pradhan. Pradhan is basically the unmanifested modes of material nature. So these are the 24 elements of which our body is made up of. And then the difference, so this is the body is made up of these 24 elements. Then what is gyan? Gyan is, and how can you get knowledge? Gyan, it's about the knowledge about the body, the soul, and the super soul. Then Krishna explains the qualities, the how can one actually get this knowledge. And he says you have to have something, some characteristics, the saintly characteristics. When you have these saintly characteristics, then you are capable of understanding the knowledge, gyan, about body, soul, and super soul. And what are these characteristics? Then Krishna explains in the next section about the 20 elements of knowledge. He says that when you have these characteristics, then you are capable of getting that knowledge. And what are these characteristics? The first one is amanitvam. Amanitvam means aman. Aman means you are beyond honor. Apaman and samman. Samman is respect, honor, and apaman is dishonor. When you are beyond honor and dishonor, it doesn't matter to you. Then you are not entangled by doing something by which you will get honor and doing something which will do, then you are basically sama. It doesn't matter to you. So that is humility. You're very, very humble. That is one of the characteristics. Then pridelessness. You are adambhitvam. You are beyond pride. You are not proud of anything that you do. It doesn't matter. You are just doing it to satisfy Lord. When you are at that stage, then you are just not doing for anything for your body, but to satisfy Lord. That is pridelessness. Then non-violence. Non-violence is ahimsa. Ahimsa is not only that you are killing animals or killing someone, but also putting others in distress is also ahimsa. Because of your behavior, others are in distress. That is also ahimsa. So you are beyond. You are beyond that. You are not non-violent person. Then tolerance. Tolerance is you have the capability of bearing insults and dishonor. What happens when someone insults us, when someone dishonors us? If we have not done the thing and we are getting those things, then what happens? We start feeling angry. And when you get angry, it's basically start with it is the start of the soul's fall down. So we should not get angry. That's why we have to have extreme tolerance towards insults and dishonor. When we are brought in this material world, that is a part of our life. We will get insulted, we will get dishonored, but we should have the one who has the capability of bearing insults and dishonor, tolerating that, the high tolerance that you have. Then the soil is capable where the bhakti or where the gyan can actually grow, right? Compare it to the soil where the gyan can grow. So then our body is ready, our soul is ready to get into the knowledge. Then serving a bona fide guru, we have to have a guru from whom we can learn. Without guru, it is very, very difficult to understand these knowledge because they are very, very philosophical. So you have to have a guru who is coming from a parampara from whom we can get the knowledge. Cleanliness. Cleanliness not only of external body but also of our mind. If our body is clean but our mind is corrupted, we will actually become corrupted. So basically our internal and external cleanness. Then steadiness. Steadiness is determined to move forward in spiritual life against all odds. Because when you are in a journey of spiritual life, and if your family members or people around you are not there, it is very, very difficult to proceed because everything gets questioned. Why are you doing this? What you are doing that? So it is very, very important that you are determined and your steadfastness that you are ready to move in this life. Self-control, that is extreme control. Whatever activity do you do, whatever activity that we do is towards the step towards Krishna, that will take us one step forward Krishna, then it is basically we should do it. But any activity that we do is taking us away from Krishna, then we should not do. So that is what is the definition of self-control. How do we decide any activity that comes in front of us, whether it should be done or not? Will this activity is going to satisfy me or is going to satisfy Krishna? If it is going to satisfy me, then it is for my sense enjoyment, not Krishna's sense enjoyment. Then that activity should not be done. But any activity that we do is satisfying the senses of Krishna, then that is must be done. Yeah, that is the definition of self-control, to know what should be done, what should not be done. Then renunciation of objects of sense gratification. It is basically explaining the same thing. No false ego. False ego means understanding myself to be the body. When we have understanding that I and the body is same, then it's a false ego. But ego is when we know that body and soul are different, that is ego. Then detachment. Detachment is detachment from what? Detachment from a company of from sense, where the sense enjoyments is there. So you have to be detached so that you can focus more on Krishna. Then even mindedness among pleasant and unpleasant things. Secluded living. And finally, the most important thing is constant and unalloyed devotion to Krishna with undeviating attention. Krishna says it as Ananya Yogena. Ananya Yogena, Krishna has taken this word in multiple times in Bhakti Yoga, explaining that with one pointed attention, when you are doing bhakti to yoga's connection to Krishna, then that is what, then you are basically eligible, or the also it is said that when one is engaged in Ananya Yoga and is one pointed attention to Krishna, automatically, or is walking towards the path of Krishna, automatically these qualities gets developed in the person, right? So someone who has none of these quality but has started praying to Krishna and is actually doing the service to Krishna, down the line many years, all these qualities automatically manifest in that person, right? Then we go to Gayam. What is the object of knowledge? That is what Krishna answers in the next section. Krishna says the object of knowledge is soul and super soul. Yeah, that is the object of knowledge. And then he explains the qualities of super soul. He says super soul is one where everywhere is hand, legs, eyes, heads, and faces. If you remember, he explains them just like the universal form, when Arjun is there in the field and he can see everywhere Krishna is all pervading. Yeah, his ears are everywhere. He's all pervading. He's the source of all senses. He's the master of all the material modes, yet he's transcendental. He's inside all moving and non-moving beings. He's very far, but he's still very near, right? He's the maintainer of all and also the destroyer. He's knowledge, he's the object of knowledge, and he's the goal of knowledge. And he's situated in everyone's heart. So that is what that is super soul, and that is the object to be known. That is the game, right? And then in the next section, which we covered last class, is about Prakriti, Purush, and their new union. So here we will take three shloks from here in this section that we did. Krishna explained the 20th shlok, Prakritim Purusham Cheva, Vidyanadi Bhavapi, Vikaranshcha Gunascheva, Vidhi Prakriti Sambhavan. He explained, he already explained the last four part, what is Kshetra, what is Kshetragya, what is Gyan, and what is Gayam. Now Krishna is explaining in the last section, the last class that we covered, what is Prakriti and what is Purush. So Prakriti is material nature. Material nature, and what we said. So Krishna says in the 20th shlok, material nature and the living entity, which is the soul, should be understood to be beginningless. It is anadi. It is always there. And their transformation in the modes of matter are products of material nature. So just to remind, we talked about that the Prakriti is always there. It is anadi, it's eternal. And the living entity is also anadi, it is eternal. So this was explained by the example of mud. So what does the mud is always there? What does the potter do? Potter use the mud to make the pots. Potter use the mud to make the pots, and he makes multiple pots, right? And then what happens when the pot breaks? It actually comes back to mud, right? So what happens? Mud is Prakriti. The material nature is always there. Mud is always there. But then you need a potter to create the pots, to make the pots, right? So Prakriti, so Prakriti is basically the like mud. And just like the pot gets created and destroyed, similarly the material world gets created and destroyed. By who? By the potter. Who is the potter? Is the supreme lord of Lord Krishna. So he is the one who is creating. The potter can be equated to Krishna, who is creating the material world. So the material world gets created and destroyed. But then Prakriti, which is the mud, is always there. And also the Purush. Purush is basically the living entity, as super soul is always there. And we remember that shlok we talked about. It is Mamai Vansho Jiva Loke Jiv Bhuta Sanatana. That what is the living entity? Living entity is nothing but an Ansha of Krishna. It's always there, right? So this is from this shlok we learned that both Prakriti and Purush, there's Anadi, they are beginningless, and they whenever there's a change, when the material world gets formed, then there is a they come, and again at the end of the material world they get back to their own self, right? We also talked about we equated the material world to the spider web. Just like the spider spins a web and after some time the spider retracts it. Similarly, the material world, Krishna creates the material world and at the end it gets retracted. Now, the spider web, what does it do? It traps flies and other insects. Similarly, the material world, what it does do? It attracts the souls towards itself. And who gets attracted there? The people who wants to run away from God gets attracted to the material world. And what do they do? Because why do we get attracted to material world? Because we want to enjoy away from God. Because we want to enjoy away from God, so we get actually into the get trapped into this material world, right? And then just like in the spider web, the insects struggles and to get free, and the more it struggles to get free, the more it gets bound. Similarly, in the material world, the struggle is what we are struggling to find more happiness, thinking I'll struggle and I'll get more happiness. But finally what happens is our struggling is actually, this whole thing is making us bound more and more. The search of happiness is actually helping us enjoyment away from Krishna is actually binding us more and more to this material world. And just like in the spider web, if we have to free up a fly, someone external has to come and free the fly from the web. Similarly, it is someone who is a guru or self-realized can help us come out of this material world, from this what do you call it, cycle of birth and death, right? So this is something we discussed last time. And then we talked about the 21st slok about karya karan kartavye hetu prakriti uchyate purusha sukh dukhanam bhoktitva bhitchat. It talks about the nature is said to be the causes of all material cause and effect, whereas the living entity is the cause of various suffering. So basically here we talked about that why does who is actually the reason of this suffering? It is basically, the reason for this suffering is basically the desire of the person, the living entity. Because the living entity desires something, the living entity is born to the material world. So the whole creation starts and the living entity is put in the material world because of the desire the person has. So now when we desire, I mean, we being human will desire. That is very normal. So when we desire, and whenever and if suppose in our lifetime we cannot finish this desire, then what happens? We get bound. So whenever we have a desire, what we should do? Hariksha. We should actually, what are the three things that actually how does the whole desire process happens? The human being desires, and when the human being desires, then the material nature, it actually creates, it enables the desires to happen. How does it enables? By putting you in association so that you can make it happen. And finally, it is the God, the super soul inside, which permits to make it happen or not to happen. Now, the super soul permits based on your karma. The super soul permits based on the karma, and accordingly the whole execution happens. So, and suppose you have a desire, but the karma is not, you don't have enough karma to make that happen, something good, then what will happen? You are getting bound and you'll have to take birth again, and for whomever you have desire, they also have to take birth again, so that whole activity can get completed. So whenever we desire something, we should say Hariksha, if it is a material desire. Otherwise, our desire should all be pointed towards Krishna. And by doing that, you are not bound, right? Then we talked about Upadashta Anumanta Cha Bharta Bhokta Maheshwara Paramatmedi Chapyukta Dehe Asmin Purusha Para. We talked about that in our material body there's someone who is super soul. And what does the super soul do? It is Updashtra, is a overseer. He's actually seeing everything that's being done. And he's a Anumanta. Anumanta means he's a permitter. Finally, for the activity to happen, he has to permit. He's the Bharta. Bharta is the maintainer. Bhokta, he is the actual enjoyer. And we want to be the enjoyer, but he is the actual enjoyer. Maheshwara, he is the Ishwar of all. He is the Supreme Lord. Paramatmeti. And how is he is in our body? He is like Paramatma, the super soul inside our body. In this way, Dehe Asmin Purusha Para. He is the Param Purush inside our body. So what he does, he is just sitting silently watching us. Whatever activity we are doing, he is there just watching us silently. Yeah. And when we want to do some activity which is going to take us away from him, it's not that he likes it, but then because of our desire, he allows it if the karma permits. But then he always wishes us to come back to him, right? So here we see if suppose we can take this whole situation like a self-realized father. Now the self-realized father understands that the son should be close to should actually what do you call it, should actually take care of should be focused towards Krishna. But what happens, the son wants to go to America, right? He wants to have more fun, and he wants to go to he's working hard that okay, I'll go to America and have more material pleasure. So now the father is self-realized, so he understands that it is more of it's more of a material pleasure. And when you get more material pleasure, you will forget God. You will actually get more bound. So what the father wants that the child should be with should focus towards Krishna.
We should also
So
say that what the child is happy. I mean, what they want to do, I feel we should give them the,
yes,
like
yes,
God has given the freedom, we should also give them.
yes, yes, we should have a free will. That is why the son has a free will to decide whatever the child wants, and takes that step, right? Yeah, but it's their life. But father always wants them to come back, right? Yeah. Now we go to the chapter 13, Jnana Chakshu, the vision of knowledge. So this is what we'll start from today, today, and this is the last section of 13th chapter. Now Jnana Chakshu. Chakshu means eyes. Chakshu means eyes. And what Chakshu? It's a Jnana Chakshu is a vision of knowledge. So we have heard about everything. Now Krishna is about all the 6 parts that Arjun had asked. Now Krishna is summarizing here. What is he summarizing? He says, let's read the 27th shlok. Yavat sanjayate kinchit
संजायते किंचित्
सत्वं स्थावर जंगमम
सत्वं स्थावर जंगमम
क्षेत्र क्षेत्रज्ञ संयोगात्
क्षेत्र क्षेत्रज्ञ संयोगात्
तद्विद्धि भरतर्षभ
तद्विद्धि भरतर्षभ
यावत् संजायते किंचित्
यावत् संजायते किंचित्
सत्वं स्थावर जंगमम
सत्वं स्थावर जंगमम
क्षेत्र क्षेत्रज्ञ संयोगात्
क्षेत्र क्षेत्रज्ञ संयोग
तद्विद्धि भरतर्षभ
तद्विद्धि भरतर्षभ यावत् संजायते किंचित्
यावत् संजायते किंचित्
सत्वं स्थावर जंगमम
सत्वं स्थावर जंगमम
क्षेत्र क्षेत्रज्ञ संयोगात्
क्षेत्र क्षेत्रज्ञ संयोग
तद्विद्धि भरतर्षभ
तद्विद्धि भरतर्षभ यावत् संजायते किंचित. Krishna says yavat is whatever, whenever. Sanjayate kinchit, whatever. Kinchit is anything that is in existence. Yeah, anything that is in existence. Other Sthavaram is non-moving, and Jangamam is moving. Anything which is non-moving and moving, which is in existence, is why. How does it happen? It is because of Kshetra Kshetragya Sanyoga. It is because the union of Kshetra. Kshetra is body, and Kshetragya is the knower of the body. So it is basically when the body and soul it comes together, then only what happens? Then only the existence happen. Then only, or anything that is living or non, anything living which is moving or non-moving, for that to get created, what happens? Kshetra and Kshetragya. That is the material nature and the soul, living entity has to come together. Okay, so let us read the English translation. O chief of the Bharats,
O chief of the Bharat,
know that whatever you see in existence,
whatever you see in existence,
both the moving and the non-moving,
both the moving and the non-moving,
is only a combination of the field of activities
is only a combination of the field of activities
and the knower of the field.
and the knower of the field.
Right? So it is a union of Prakriti and Purusha, because of which anything that happens. Next slok. Samam sarveshu bhuteshu
Samam sarveshu bhuteshu
tishthantam parameshwaram
tishtantam parameshwaram
vinashyatsva avinashyantam
vinashyatva avinashyantam
yah pashyati sa pashyati
ya pashyati sa pashyati
samam sarveshu bhuteshu
samam sarveshu bhuteshu
tishthantam parameshwaram
tishtantam parameshwaram
vinashyatsva avinashyantam
vinashyatva avinashyantam
yah pashyati sa pashyati
ya pashyati sa pashyati
समं सर्वेषु भूतेषु
samam sarveshu bhuteshu
तिष्ठन्तं परमेश्वरं
tishthantam parameshwaram
विनाश्यत्स्व अविनाश्यत्नं
vinashyatva avinashyantam
यः पश्याति स पश्यति
yah pashyati sa vashyati. Now here, this whole section from 27 to 35 is from the is for it is Krishna is saying that someone who is already realized, how does he sees things. So we'll have to think from that perspective. So he says that one who sees the super soul accompanying the individual soul, repeat,
One who sees the super soul accompanying the individual soul
in all bodies,
in all bodies
and who understands
and who understands
that neither the soul
that neither the soul
nor the super soul
nor the super soul
within the destructible body
within the destructible body
is ever destroyed,
is ever destroyed.
actually sees.
Actually,
Yeah. The sama sarveshu bhuteshu. Sarveshu means all. Bhuteshu means living entities. And then tishthantam. Tishthantam means stays inside. Inside. Where does it say? Parameshwaram. The super soul stays inside all living entities. Yeah. And not only that it stays inside all living entities, but vinashyatsva avinashwantam means when the destruction happens, it still remains undisturbed. Even when there is a destruction, when the material world actually it is destroyed, then also it remains there. And thus the pasya means to see, and someone who sees that is actually actually realized. That is the meaning of this shlok, right? Next shlok. Samam pashyan hi sarvatra
samam pashyan hi sarvatra
samavasthitam ishwaram
samavasthitam ishwaram
na hinastya atmanam atmanam
न हि
nasti
नस्त्य
atmanatma
tato yati param gatim
tato yati param gatim
samam pashyan hi sarvatra
samam pashyan hi sarvatra
sam avasthitam ishwaram
samavasthitam ishwaram
na hinastyatmanatmanam
na hinastyaatmanatmanam
tato yati param gatim.
tato yati param gatim
Let's read.
samam pashyan hi sarvatra
Samam pashyan hi sarvatra
samavasthitam ishwaram
sam avasthitam ishwaram
na hinastyatmanatmanam
na hinastyatmanatmanam
tato yati param gatim
tato yati param gatim. One who sees
one who sees
the super soul equally
the super soul equally
present everywhere
present everywhere
in every living being
in every living being
does not degrade himself by his mind,
does not degrade himself by his mind.
thus he approaches the transcendental destination.
Thus he approaches the transcendental destination.
So in this shlok, the last part is tato yati param gatim. Param gatim is it approaches beyond the material, it approaches the transcendental destination. And how can he approach? When what does he see? Sama Pashyani Sarvatra. Sarvatra is everywhere. Pashyan is to see. Sama is equally. When he is seeing everything, what is he saying? Sam Avasthitam Ishwaram. That Ishwar, the Ishwar is present in every living being, irrespective of moving, non-moving, irrespective of your forms, whether you are a human being, whether you are a dog, whether you are a whatever in form you are born, elephant, you are a small living creature, in everything what is there, the soul is there. So when someone is able to see beyond the material body, beyond the material body, can see the soul inside everyone, and na hinastyatma na hinastya, and does not, hinastya means degrade, and it does not degrade. Atmanam is in the mind, and by his mind does not degrade himself, is something like knows that that in this body I have that I'm the soul, I'm not this body, and I am able to see equal to everyone, everyone is equal to me. And then because of my activity, I do not do anything which is for sense gratification, but is more focused towards Krishna. Then what happens? Then I am in the path of, then the person is in the path of transcendental destination. Then that person can reach the transcendental destination. So he feels everyone is equal, irrespective of forms, caste, creed, animals, living, and everyone is equal. So he's able to see the Paramatma in all the activity, everyone. So it's basically, and also knows that whatever activity I am doing is because of my form, my body, right? But I am separate from this body. If that realization is there, and then is focused towards its, or the activity of the soul, then actually it's in the process of moving towards transcendental destination. Let's go to the next slok. प्रकृत्यैव च कर्माणि
प्रकृत्यैव च कर्माणि
क्रियमाणि सर्वशः
क्रियमाणानि सर्वशः
यः पश्यति तथात्मानम्
यः पश्यति तदात्मानम्
अकर्तारं स पश्यति
कर्तारं स पश्यति
प्रकृतैव च कर्माणि
प्रकृत्यैव च कर्माणि
क्रियमाणि सर्वशः
क्रियमाणानि सर्वशः
यः पश्यति तथात्मानम्
यः पश्यति तदात्मानम्
अकर्तारं स पश्यति
कर्तारं स पश्यति प्रकृत्यैव च कर्माणि
प्रकृत्यैव च कर्माणि
सर्वशः
क्रियमाणानि सर्वशः
यः पश्यति तथात्मानम्
यः पश्यति तथात्मानम्
कर्तारं स पश्यति
अकर्तारं स पश्यति. Now, basically, prakriti cha karmani. So everything is being done by prakriti. Prakriti is the material nature. So what is this body made up of? The body is made up of material. It is material elements, right? So everything that is being done is by the body, and I am separate than the body. The soul is separate than the body, and when the realization is that the soul's activity is different, the whatever is happening or whatever is because of the body activities of the body, and soul is different, then you are in the path of transcendent, right? Now, for example, think from a perspective, let's take an example of a green coconut, right? Now when the coconut is green, then what happens? It has a green cover, and then there's a lot of husks inside, and then there's a slight pulp of white pulp coconut inside that, and it is extremely thickly attached to the surface of inside there, right? And then some water is there, right? So what is happening? And then when we leave this coconut like that, what happens? After some time, the coconut becomes brown. It becomes brown, and then it becomes dried. And when it becomes dried, what happens? The pulp actually separates out from it gets separate from the surface, and it becomes a full coconut inside, right? We all know this process, right? Similarly, when we think that I am this body, it is like the pulp which is attached to the green coconut, right? So when I'm seeing that I am this body, my activity is all for my sense gratification, right? What I'll do is for my activity, it's for me. Now when someone becomes realized, then what happened? It's like the dried coconut which is separate than the entire husk. It is separate then, so it is separated then from the thing. Now what happens? The soul, it means the soul is separate than this entire body. Can you see? So that is the, for a self realized, it's very clearly understand that this body, whatever activity is being done by this body, is because of the material nature, is because of this body. If I am born as a tiger, then I'm eating whatever I'm eating is because I'm born as, then that is what, because I have got this body, this is what activity I will do, right? Similarly, but then when becomes realized, it's like a dried coconut, it becomes separate and it just watches the activity which is being done by the body. It can separate themselves from the shell. It separates themselves from the cell and can watch, knowing that okay, whatever activity the material is because of the modes of material nature. I am born in this world, so all these things are happening. But if I have to get liberated, if I have to break the cycle of birth and death, then my activity is something which should be done by the soul. And what is soul's activity? Mamaivansho jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana. What is soul? Soul is a part of Krishna. Mamaivansho jiva loke. Mamaivansho is mam ansh. It's my ansh. It's my part. Jiva loke. All the living entity of this world is a part of me. Sarvabhuta, right? So then we have to do the activity which takes us back to Krishna, and that is how we can liberate ourselves from the cycle of birth and death, right? So this is what Krishna says. One who can see that all activities are performed by the body, which is created of material nature, and sees that self does nothing,
that the self does nothing,
actually sees. Yeah, so it's I'm not doing anything, is because the body that I'm doing is actually seeing, right? Now let's go to the next slok. So here Krishna in the 3rd chapter talks about Prakriti Kriyamanani Gune Karmani Sarvasya Ahankara Vimudatma Kartaham iti manyate. Krishna says the split soul, bewildered by the false influence of false ego, thinks himself to be the doer of activities that are actually carried out by the 3 modes of material nature, right? Then we go to the next slok, 31st slok. Yada bhuta pithak bhavam ekaistham anupashyati tata eva cha vistaram brahma sampadyate tada. Yada bhuta prithak bhavam ekastham anupashyati tata eva cha vistaram brahma sampadyate tada.
Yada bhuta pratak bhavam
ekastham anupashyati
tata eva
cha vistaram
brahma sampadhyate tada.
So Krishna says, yada, when bhuta prithak bhavam, bhuta is living entity, prithak bhavam, in different forms, and in that ekastham anupashyase, when you see ekastham, when you see them as one, that you are seeing that there is only one, you are seeing them as one, tat eva cha vistaram, and you see that finally it's basically all is the super soul, and everything that we see is a vistar of that expansion of the soul. When we see everything as that, when that realization the person has, then brahma sampadyate tada, then what happens? He attains the brahma, then he attains the brahma, then it is able to see that the everything is actually in every entity there is super soul, and is actually relating to people from super soul perspective and soul perspective. Then what is happening actually, then at that point of time he can attain the brahma conception. So it is a material vision and the spiritual vision. In a material vision we see people as people, different caste, different creed, different nationality, different, but all these things are material vision. But spiritual vision, we see people as souls. We see them as soul. Then we see the super soul residing in everyone, and we respect all super soul, everyone, and then it is a Brahma vision, right? We go to the next slok. So yeah, it is the next slok, 32. Anaditwan anirgunatvat
Anaditva niruganatva
param atma param atmaya avyayah
Paramatmayam Avyaha
sharirasthopi kaunteya
Sharirasthopi kaunteya
na karoti na lipyate
na karoti na lipyate
anaditva anirgunatvat
anaditva nirvanatva
param atmayam avyayah
Paramatmayam
sharirastho api kaunteya
Sharirasthopi kaunteya
na karoti na lipyate
na karoti na lipyate
Anaditva nirgunatvat
anaditva nirgunatvat
Paramatmayam Avyaha
param atmayam avyayah
Sharirastho api kaunteya
sharirastho api kaunteya
Karoti na lipyate
na karoti na lipyate. Let's read the English translation. Those with the vision of eternity
those with the vision of eternity
can see
can see
that the imperishable soul
that the imperishable soul
is transcendental,
is transcendental,
eternal,
eternal,
and beyond the modes of nature.
and beyond the modes of nature.
Despite contact with the material body,
Despite contact with the material body,
O Arjun,
O Arjun,
the soul neither does anything
the soul neither does anything
nor is entangled.
nor is entangled.
Right? So what happens? Now here Krishna talks about so those with a vision of eternity. So someone who has achieved that vision, how will see how will that person will see? That's it. Anadi. The soul is anadi. It is beginningless. It's eternal. Nirgunatma. It doesn't have it is nirgun, right? Then param. Param is, it is transcendental. And avyaya. Avyaya is basically imperishable. So the imperishable soul is transcendental, eternal, and beyond the mode of material nature. And sharirastho. Sharirastho means it is in the situated in the body. Although it is situated in the body, Kaunteya, O Kunti's putra, na karoti na limpati, will not get attached, and it will not get entangled. So it's again the same explanation goes about the green coconut and the dried coconut. So someone who has achieved that state where the realization has happened and the coconut is separated from the entire part. So what happened? Then that soul is just watching the activity of that is done by the body. It will not get entangled. So it will not do any activity which will actually entangle the soul. So that the person already has the vision, understands that I am a soul, and the property of the soul is it is beginning, it is eternal. It is eternal, it is transcendental. It doesn't belong to this material world. It is beyond this material world. It is free from all the gunas of ignorance, passion, and goodness. It is beyond that. And then knows that I don't have to entangle, I don't have to enjoy, I have to actually focus on Krishna. So by doing that, what happens? It doesn't get entangled, and it can get itself free from the cycle of birth and death, right? Then we go to the next slok, which is 33. Yatha sarvagatam sokshmyad
Yatha sarvagatam sakshmyan
akasham nopalipyate
akasham nopalipyate
sarvatravasito dehe
sarvatravasthito dehe
tathatmanopalipyate
tatatmanopalipyate
yatha sarvagatam sokshmyad
yatha sarvagatam sakshmyan
akasham nopalipyate
akasham nopalipyate
sarvathavasito dehe
sarvatravasthito dehe
tathatmanopalipyate.
तात्मानोपलिप्यते
So yatha sarvagatam sokshmyad
आकाशं नोपलिप्यते
akasham nopalipyate
सर्वत्रावस Vastito dehe.
Sarvata avistito dehe.
Tatatma upalipyate.
Tathatmanopalipyate. Yatha sarvagatam sokshmyad. Yatha sarvagatam sokshmyad akasham nopalipyate. Just like sarvagatam means just like akash. Akash is what? The sky. What happens? What does the sky do? It is pervading everything. Everything that is there in the material world gets covered by the sky. Just like everything gets covered by the sky, but the sky does not get entangled with anything, right? It is away. Although it is all pervading, covering everything, but it does not get entangled. It does not get entangled by the, what do you call it, by any such thing. So yatha sarvagatam sokshmyad akasham nopalipyate sarvatra vistito dehe. Similarly, tatha atma nopalipyate. Similarly, the soul which is situated in Brahma vision, which understands, what does the soul understand? Soul has actually achieved the Brahma vision, understand that this is the that I am not this body, I am the soul, and I cannot get entangled with this body, right? So let us read the English translation. The sky,
The sky,
due to its subtle nature,
due to its subtle nature,
does not mix with anything,
does not mix with anything,
although it is all pervading.
although it is all pervading.
Similarly,
Similarly,
the soul
the soul,
situated in Brahma
situated in
Brahma vision,
vision,
does not mix with the body,
does not mix with the body,
though situated in that body.
though situated
Right?
in that.
Again, the example of coconut, although the coconut, the dried coconut is is inside the same, covering, but then it does not, it has separated itself out, unlike the green coconut, where the pulp is attached to the, so all of us are in that mode where we are too much attached to the body, and for us we do everything which is for the body, right? That is how we all live. But then when someone gets self-realized, what happens? It is like separating the pulp gets separated out from the husk part, right? So that is how the person with the realization sees the soul situated in Brahma vision does not mix with the body. It understands the soul is different and the body is different, right? So we go to the next slok. Yatha prakashayate kah
Yatha prakashayeka.
Krishnam lokam imam ravi
Krishnam lokam imam ravi.
kshetram kshetri tatha Krishnam
Kshetram kshetri tatha Krishnam.
प्रकाशयति भारतः
Prakashayati bharatam.
यथा प्रकाशयत्येकः
Yatha prakashayati.
कृष्णं लोकम् इमं रवि
Krishnam lokam imam ravi.
क्षेत्रं क्षेत्री तथा कृत्स्नं
Kshetram kshetri tatha Krishnam.
प्रकाशयति भारतः.
Prakashayati bharata.
विचु पढ़ो. यथा
यथा प्रकाशयत्येकः
यथा प्रकाशयत्येकः
कृत्स्नं लोकममिं रवि
कृत्स्नं लोकम् इमं रविः
क्षेत्रं क्षेत्री तथा कृत्स्नं
क्षेत्रं क्षेत्री तथा कृत्स्नं
प्रकाशयति भारत
प्रकाशयति भारतः. यथा, यथा means just like how prakashayat ekah kritsnam, eka one ravi, one sun. Ravi is sun. Just like one ravi, what does it do? One sun prakashayat, it actually gives the prakash, it gives the light to lokam imam, to the complete universe, to complete world. It gives the light. One sun can give light to everything. Just like similarly, kshetram kshetri tatha kristam, the kshetri is the soul which is inside this kshetra, which is inside this body. The soul which is inside this body, it gives the prakash, it gives the consciousness. Oh Bharat, it gives the consciousness to the entire body, right? What is the difference between a dead body and a living body? It is only the consciousness is gone. The entire body is lying there. The body is made up of material nature, right? The soul just leaves the body and then the entire body becomes useless. Till the soul is inside the body, we get attached to the person, we love the person, but as soon as the soul is, the consciousness is not gone, what do? We want to burn the body. We want to keep the body away from us. So what is the difference between the two whole thing? Everything is there. Everything is same. The only thing is that the consciousness, the soul has left the body, right? So Krishna says, just like one sun, it gives lights to entire universe. Similarly, the soul inside this body actually gives the consciousness to the entire body. So let us read the translation. O son of Bharat,
O son of Bharat,
as the sun alone
as the sun alone
illuminates all this universe,
illuminates all this universe,
so does the living entity,
so does the living entity,
one within the body,
one within the body,
illuminate the entire body
illuminate the entire body
by consciousness,
by
right?
consciousness.
And this is the last slok of this chapter, 35th slok. Kshetragya yoreva
Kshetra kshetrajnayorevam
antaram jnana chakshusha
antarjnana chakshusha
bhut prakrita moksham cha
bhuta prakriti moksham cha
ye viduryanti te param
ye viduryanti te param
kshetragya yorevam
kshetra kshetrajnayorevam
antaram jnana chakshusha
taram jnana chakshusha
bhut prakriti moksham cha
bhuta prakriti moksham cha
ye viduryanti te param.
ye viduryanti te param.
So Krishna says, what is jnana chakshu? What is a someone who has the knowledge, vision of knowledge? What does he say? He sees kshetra. Kshetra is body. Kshetragya, that is soul, and in kshetragya there are two, that is soul and super soul. He sees the difference. Antar is the difference between body, soul, and super soul. The one who has realized can see this difference. Bhuta prakriti mokshascha, and when by understanding the bhut, the living entity, the nature, what happens is actually able to get liberated, right, from this material world. So let us read the English translation. Those who see
Those who see
with eyes of knowledge
with eyes of knowledge
the difference between the body
the difference between the body
and the knower of the body,
and the knower of the body,
and can also understand
and can also understand
the process of liberation
the process of liberation
from bondage in material nature,
from bondage in material nature,
attain to the supreme goal,
attain the supreme goal.
right? So in this chapter, what Krishna is saying is we have to know about three things, that is Gyan, the body, the soul, and the super soul, relation between the body and soul, relation between soul and super soul. And when we know all these things, when we have the knowledge about all these things and understand that we are not this body but we are soul, and our activities are directed towards the soul, not to give pleasure to the body, then we are actually in the path of liberation. That is what is the sum total of this chapter, and that is called Jnana Yoga. Yeah, the Jnana Yoga. Yeah. So very happy to see you, Michu. Yeah. Now we go to the glories of chapter 13 from Padma Puran, the story. So that is the last story, and then we finish this chapter. So uh, in Padma Puran, so all the glories, all the Mahatmya of Bhagavad Gita chapters is being always spoken by Shivji to Parvati ji. So Shivji is actually telling the stories to Parvati ji, and then he talks about that about the glories of chapter 13. He says that in the south bank of river Tungabhadra in the south of India, near the bank of river Tungabhadra, there was a town called Hariharpur. And in this town, there was the deity of Harihar, that is Lord Shiva. And then there was a Brahmin called Hari Dikshit. And he was very simple, very learned, very austere. And he was always busy doing his prayers, puja. But his wife was very durachari. Everyone in the village had given his wife name as Durachari. So everyone knew her as Durachari. So she was engaged in very low class activities. She was very, very lusty. She basically used to sleep with different men, and she used to misbehave with her husband and the people of her other of her husband's family, and she was engaged in all low level work. Yeah. And she was so lusty that when she was not satisfied, she used to actually in the forest there was a nearby forest, she had created, she had actually built a structure there so that she can go and stay there and do whatever she feels like, right? So once what happened one night, when she was to satisfy her desire, she actually went to the forest, into that hut or lodge, whatever she had created, and she was there waiting for someone to come. And she was really getting very impatient, and she started shouting loudly. And then what happened, a tiger which was nearby heard her and came to attack her. Now when she saw the tiger in front of her, she was wondering how, she was saying, okay, now the tiger is about to attack her, but she still said, why do you want to kill me? So now this tiger, because he could remember his previous birth story, and he says, okay, I will tell you my story, who am I and why I am doing this to you. So now the tiger narrates his story to Durachari. So he says that he was actually Pandit in the village called Munipara, and being a Pandit, he used to cheat people. He used to actually cheat people, and he used to, in wrong means, he used to earn livelihood. And what he used to do is, also the yajna that he used to do, he used to do also for, in the sense, he used to do it in to get more money to the people who are not even qualified to do that. So in all ways, he used to try to get as much money as possible, and also used to was engaged in all of cheating people. So what happened? One day he had gone old, and one day a dog bit him, and finally he died. But once he died, he actually took the form of a tiger, and he is in this forest. But he still remembered his last birth. Now, because he remembered, so now what he does is, he does not kill people whom he feels are pure, but then whom but he has the vision to see the differentiate the people between sinful and non-sinful, and you are a very unchaste person, and that's why I'm going to kill you. And he killed the lady, and finally, now this lady, after being killed by the tiger, because of her activity, she actually went through various types of hell, and she stayed in those hells for millions of years. And after all those karma, she was born as a Chandal woman. And when she was born, because of again her karma, her lustful desire continued. But by virtue of being in that place where she was, there was a great saint called Vasudev. He came to the bank of the river where she was, and he saw this Vasudev, and he was chanting the 13th chapter, the glories of the. He was actually reading chapter 13, and once she heard that chapter 13, she got very very attracted to what he was speaking, and she kept on listening to him, and he was constantly doing his prayers, and kept on and was and chanting this chapter 13. Now, when she listened to this, finally, after listening, after when this time when she died, after finishing her birth, she actually got free from this yoni of that she has born. So that is the mahatmya of this chapter 13, listening to chapter 13. So with this, we will end today's session. And Hare Krishna, let us chant the Mahamantra 3 times, and we'll finish that. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna. Thank you all.